Good evening, everyone. I would like to bring this City Council meeting to order. I would like to start this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Zach, could you please lead us for Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic which stands
one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Rebecca, could you please do roll call, please?
Councilmember Agramonte. Here. Vice Mayor Barnett.
Here.
Councilmember Felder.
Here.
Councilmember Lowe.
Here.
Mayor Ding.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Today, we don't have a closed section. Next, we'd like to discuss today's agenda. If any changes for today's meeting's agenda? No. Who want to move to approve our agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Agramonte. Here. Vice Mayor Barnett.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Aye.
Councilmember Felder.
Aye.
Councilmember Lowe.
Aye.
Mayor Ding.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Let's go to agenda number 1. Comments from the public. At this time, the members from the public, it's time for you to speak. It is recommended you keep your speech in 3 minutes or less. Thank you. No. All right. No. All right. Looks like there are no any in the public comments. So let's move to agenda number 2, meeting dedications. All right.
Yes, I have a meeting dedication. It's been a month ago, but I was at the memorial for Stephen Gale. Stephen Gale was the field staff director for Congressman Mike Thompson for many years. And he did many amazing things for individuals. For those of you who have done constituent work, I know Councilmember Agramonte has done this. You get a lot of phone calls, as you do, I know, at city staff. And he particularly was able to help veterans find housing and find services. And he was just a fine man, and I just wanted to note his passing. And at his memorial, Congressman Thompson spoke, Senator McGuire, Supervisor Gorin. So it was quite a tribute to someone who's done just a really good job for average people who just call every day and just want to get some services. So I'd like to just mention that, his passing, very sad. And just sending regards to his wife, Maria Peluso. They live in Oakmont, but because he served Congressman Thompson, he had a lot of connections with the Valley. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to dedicate this evening to philanthropist Jim Lamb. He recently passed away on April 29th. He was 90 years old. If anybody's been around here for a while, you'll know what a wonderful person he was. And it's interesting, he didn't just do it halfway. He rode hundreds of miles on his bike. He ran hundreds of miles all over the world, also rode his bike all over the world, and is an amazing man, a wonderful philanthropist as well. And he supported, I think it's 7 nonprofits here in the city of Sonoma, which was unbelievable. He was also the vice president of Chase Bank and lived here with his daughter Garland, who was with him at his passing, and his first wife, I think, married, his first wife was Elizabeth. He remarried to, I'm sorry, we just got out of a meeting, so I'm not prepared. He was also married to Charlotte. Some years ago, she passed away in 2008. She was a force to be reckoned with. She actually did the capital campaign for the museum, Sonoma Valley Museum of Art. He has lived with his daughter. He is unfortunate death was due to dementia, and he was known around town. He was the first guy I knew to get a Tesla, which I thought was amazing. So he would drive around town. He was just an amazing guy. And his daughter said that, he would ride his bike to Sunflower. He would have coffee, and that was where he said he met the pretty girls. So he was very excited about that. He would just roll up on that bike, and he was just a great guy. That's when I met him, actually, at Basque, at Sunflower. So Garland, his daughter, said, "We are a team, and we faced everything together." Jim Lamb is just survived by his daughters, Garland Lamb of Sonoma, Jennifer Lamb of Ukiah, grandson Joshua Kelso Lamb, and great-grandson Nicholas. He was predeceased by his parents, Charles Davis and Jean, siblings Jack, Joanna, Jerry, and Joel, and his wives, Charlotte and Elizabeth. I'm dedicating this evening to Jim Lamb. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Agramonte. Any more? Do you have? Okay. All right. Let's move to agenda number 3, presentations. Today we don't have any scheduled presentation. Agenda number 4, consent on the calendar. And all items listed on consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be acted upon by a single motion.
Mayor Ding, I would like to pull item 4.2, please.
All right, 4.2. Any other items we want to pull? Okay, can you put a motion?
I'll move the consent calendar with the exception of 4.2.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Agramonte,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett,
Aye.
Councilmember Felder,
Aye.
Councilmember Lowe,
Aye.
Mayor Ding.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Agenda number 4.2. Received the City of the Sonoma 2021 General Plan Annual Progress Report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Ding. I pulled this, and I guess my question is for David. I've actually never seen this on one of our agendas, a general plan annual progress report, and I was hoping you could sort of discuss that and explain that a little more, and the
Sure.
highlights within.
Thank you. The government code requires two things to be filed with respect to planning items. One, which you've already done this year, and that was to file the annual progress report for the housing element. That statute has been in the government code for a long time, and it obviously has some implications with respect to original housing and that kind of thing. The second thing is an annual report for the general plan, and I believe it's government code 65-400, the same piece of legislation. There are no requirements and there's no formula as there is for the housing element annual report, but in contact with OPR, the last time the city did one was 2016. And so this particular report goes beyond 2021. We went back to 2017 to talk about the wonderful things that we've done here in the city with respect to the general plan. Most importantly, all of the housing kind of things that we've done are in there, along with the code amendments. And the report, I believe, is about a 10 or 15 page report that we provided for your council. We'll submit that to OPR and HCD.
Thank you.
I just wanted to briefly comment. I would encourage the public or all of us to really look at this. Just in the last 3 years, but especially in 2021, I think our city has made tremendous progress on our general plan, specifically with regard to housing issues. I think a town our size, actually, I can't think of another town our size in the state that does as much for housing and creating housing opportunities, and especially affordable housing opportunities as we do. Specifically, we, in the last year, upped our affordability requirement from 20 to 25%. We started the housing element, and obviously housing is a very difficult issue, and with challenges and factors beyond our control. And I think we're trying to do the best we can. And I would just encourage everyone to look at this. Obviously, we discussed earlier during our budget session about potentially updating our general plan at some point in the next few years. We've had this general plan for going on 20 years, and so as this general plan reaches its sort of full maturity, I think the city has a lot to be proud of. So I just wanted to thank David and especially Christina and Wendy in our planning department for all the hard work on our general plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I can just add one little piece, and that is that I did ask OPR, because this is a non-penalty type of a report. Again, the housing element has a specific formula and fields that you have to send in electronically. This particular report has no requirements or guidelines. They've got things they want you to send, but it's not a formal structure. 31% of California's cities submitted this in 2020. And so I just want to let you know that you're one of the few and the proud. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, due date is April 1st. Yeah, we are fine. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
If I may- So this is in the government code, that 31% of the cities comply with the government code. And that's rather shocking to me, quite honestly. But I guess if there's no repercussions, then, I hate to say it's kind of like our campaign finance ordinance, But so there's no accountability or whatever. So
There is none. In fact, this is the way, back in the day, aging myself here, this is the way the housing element reports process was. Back in the day, there was no repercussion, but then HCD got wise, and so did the legislature, tie it into the housing. And I think housing first, perhaps. Because as we know, the housing element is the only one element of a general plan that has a clock, either 5 years or 8 years. In our case, it's 8 years.
Yes.
And when it comes to counties, they're not much better. 41% complied in 2020.
Thank you. I hope the next year we file it before April 1st. Thank you. Any more questions? If not, we're open to public. Any comments from public for agenda number 4.2? None? All right, let me bring back to our city council. Any further discussion or want to move? All right.
I move that we approve agenda item 4.2.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Agramonte,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett,
Aye.
Councilmember Felder,
Aye.
Councilmember Lowe,
aye.
Mayor Ding.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Agenda number 5, public hearing. Today, we don't have any public hearing. Agenda number 6, regular calendar. 6.1, consideration, discussion, and a possible action regarding the approval of the residential permit parking program, RPPP, on the public street in Klein Street neighborhood in the city of the Sonoma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. David Storr. I'll take this item, be very brief. Last summer, the Traffic Safety Committee forwarded a recommendation to your council to establish a residential permit parking system program. Probably got too many P's in there, but in the Clay Street neighborhood, which is the area basically at Broadway and Clay Street and the streets further to the west of that. The recommendation came as a result of about 3, I believe, meetings of the Traffic Safety Committee. The basic recommendation, and that which staff supports, is to determine whether or not a program needs to be created. And obviously, the Traffic Safety Committee did recommend a system. We don't have that system before you this evening because it becomes a moot point if the council's determination is to not establish one there. But with respect to Train Town management, the lodge, and also the Saha development, they are in favor of establishing a permit program for those streets. Now, ordinarily, it would be something that would be brought to you by the Public Works Director, having been that transition person at that meeting in the past, and here we are today. I'm forwarding this recommendation to your committee, to you tonight. Staff and the Traffic Safety Committee recommend establishing a program. Should that be the direction of the council, we'll return at a later date, or Public Works staff will return at a later date, with the specifics of a particular program and how it could be enforced and where it should be enforced relative to the operations in that area. This concludes staff's report and available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, please.
Yes, thank you, David. Do we have, and I believe the answer is yes, but just to clarify, do we have any other examples of residential permit programs in the city?
I spoke with Mike this afternoon. He said there is one. I
By the
believe in
hospital,
Church. Yeah.
right?
Well, I thought he said Church Street, so I don't know if it goes over to that other side, but
So maybe there's two.
yeah, this particular one, yeah, maybe there is, and we can certainly have him report back. This particular one is unique as it's adjacent to unincorporated island of the county with Train Town, and we have no land use abilities there. That would come at a later point in time, perhaps, but it's unique in that sense.
That's great. Questions? Yeah.
I just have a question. Obviously the weekends are, filled. I mean, during the summer, Train Town is, lots of people there. Have we explored partnering perhaps maybe with the school district that has some parking facility at Adele Harrison on the weekend to maybe look at some overflow? Because we've been talking a lot about unenforceable ordinances, and I just have a sneaking suspicion that this could be another one. And if there's a way that we could direct people at a place to park, it would be a lot more preferable than issuing citations and threatening to tow their car, which doesn't, appeal to anybody. So just curious if we've made any outreach.
No, the only outreach at the present time is with the management of those three entities that I mentioned. With respect to Mr. Frank at the Train Town, his offering was he supports it and he believes that those of his customers that are not able to find parking will come back another time. He called it the restaurant effect. I'm not quite sure I understand or even agree with that, but he seemed unconcerned about overflow of his particular customers onto city streets, and that's why he was in favor of the permit process. So no, we have not reached out specifically to Train Town. The demand does not come from the lodge or from the Saha, although we do know that residents of the Saha project do park on the north side of Clay, but perhaps that will not be addressed in the residential permit process or program. I don't know, but certainly something I can pass that information along to our Public Works folks to talk about that.
Yeah, I think it's worth, especially on the weekends, talking to them. I think because the other thing is it's on the side of the street, the same side of the street as Train Town, and you're talking about children. So, grown-ups also go to Train Town and, with the children, but it's kind of scary when I see the kids running across Broadway there. And if they knew that there was parking, nearby, then they wouldn't disturb the neighbors on Clay, and perhaps we'd be giving them a safer route to their amusement park.
And it comes down to the issue, and by the way, I understand from talking with folks that it's not just limited to weekends. Apparently, when it does open up 7 days a week, the problem will not just be limited to weekends. The question then arises as to whose responsibility it is to provide for parking for that particular attraction. Is it the city's responsibility? Is it Train Town's? Well, again, we don't have any land use authority to require them to provide parking facilities to meet the demand that they're creating. And so that raises a broader question, but certainly we can have the Public Works Director contact the school district. But again, it goes to the question is why would it be the city's responsibility or anybody else's for that matter?
Well, they're in the city, even when they're on that little island that's not the city, they're passing through the city, they're eating in the city, they're, so forth and so on. So, I don't know, it just seems like we have to make it as safe as possible would be my preference for kids. That's all.
I know this has been, everybody knows this issue's been going on for years. It's pretty aggravating to have cars parking in your neighborhood, and it is dangerous. I agree with you, Councilmember Lowe. My worst moment was when I saw a woman very pregnant pushing a little girl in her stroller across that horrible big street. The whole thing it's not working for me. And Faja, of course, they have their own parking. They may park on the south side across from the hotel. And I think the people from the lodge I think that manager has really tried to cooperate, try to make it as best as he could for everybody. But, I just think something has to be done for the neighborhood, and because it's pretty aggravating, if you can't have friends over, if, certain times of the day you want to do things, maybe somebody can't get out. I don't even know. I'm sorry. To me, it's always been a huge issue. In fact, I don't think it's appropriate to change the subject, but there are other people in this city that suffer from the same issue, and that's MacArthur Lane. And I actually called people that I knew so they could come here to understand what the RPPP was. I don't know what the answer is. The permits are for what's the permit for? How long is that?
Again,
Nothing yet.
the logistics of how a program would work have not been defined or identified and addressed, but should your council wish to see what one would look like, we could present that.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So as you mentioned, Traintown is an unincorporated island, and the recent LAFCO draft municipal service review encourages us to bring Traintown into the city. So if that were to occur, what kind of land use authority or what kind of authority could we have, or would it all be grandfathered in? Would there be any sort of opportunity to mitigate the parking issues if it was within the city?
I'll give some preparatory comments and then maybe turn it over to legal counsel. But as we stand right now, we have no land use, whether it's a permit to issue or use permit or a building permit, for example. Certainly if there's a need for dedication, that would have to come through some kind of exaction, through some kind of land use entitlement like a map or something like that. Primarily, we would get the ability to issue use permits if there's expansion or something like that. I don't know that we can actually just say, wait a minute, there's a public health and safety issue, therefore you need to provide more parking. Clearly, when I spoke with the county, they contacted the folks from Traintown. They were of the opinion that all of the demand that they have can be met on site. We clearly know that that's not the case. I've observed it myself last October where I got down to license plate numbers and watched employees from Traintown park on the south side of Clay and watched them in their T-shirts cross the road. I can say that the situation has been improved from a land use perspective, if you will, and that the sidewalk on the south side or the crossing has been changed to further north to where Saha is. So I think public safety has been increased. As to how it relates to Highway 12, I'm not sure how we would then integrate with Caltrans on getting better dedications or a dedication of your typical public improvements like curb gutter, sidewalk, that kind of a thing. But Jeff, do you have anything else to perhaps add about the land use?
Generally, when you annex property out from the county, the entitlements that they've been accustomed to are grandfathered. But we would certainly take a closer look at that if the council wishes to move in that direction.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, sure.
So, Mr. Storr, I also understand, I viewed the aerial, we've seen aerial shots, and I don't think there's any available parking at Traintown. So I just, that was something that I understood. So in my little dream world, I thought we could rent space maybe from Friedman's, but as I drive around Friedman's, there's nothing really available. So, but I thank you. Thank you for bringing this forward because I think it's very important for people to hear.
My observation when I was out there last October, first weekend of October, I did notice people going into Friedman's and then coming right back out. So I don't know if they actually had somebody there to monitor that. But all of the parking on site at Traintown was populated within an hour and a half of the opening. So around about 11:15, 11:30, they were bleeding onto the east side of Broadway, up and down that side, and then also on the west side of Broadway. And then they began to penetrate more to the west of Clay. So again, should your council wish to have staff create a residential permit program, we would then try to figure out the best place to figure out on the geography, because in talking with some of the residents, and about a half a dozen of them actually, it does get closer to Fry Creek now. And I think as we get more into the summer months, it'll go beyond that.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I thought what our Councilmember Lowe suggested, maybe a shuttle. I don't know who would pay for it. I have no idea. Where would people park?
It's not that far. If they're parking on Clay Street, it's no further than, walking, on the same side of the street. I just think it's worth asking. I mean, I'm absolutely in favor of a permit for the residents there. They need something. But, because we're stretched thin with enforcing many things, I just wanted, to be thinking a little proactively in terms of accommodating our visitors.
So maybe that would come with some recommendations, I guess. I agree with you, Councilmember Lowe. I think permit might be the solution, although I don't know actually if it is.
We can listen to the public.
Yeah, that would be.
Let me open to public. Maybe we can get some part of the answers.
Good evening. I'm Gail Miller, 162 Clay Street in Sonoma. This is becoming a huge issue. It's just very sad. Not only are they crossing Highway 12, but they're also roaming up and down our streets, and it's an accident waiting to happen with these little kids running here and there, and parents are changing diapers and feeding somebody, and and it does stretch through Bragg, which is right there on the corner, and then also onto Cooper Street too. So my question really is there no way, I don't know why Traintown didn't get incorporated into the city limits in the first place. And if it's too late to do that or can't happen, then I totally support the parking at Adele or the high school, especially weekends and summer. When nobody's there, there's empty parking lots. And there is a sidewalk going right down Broadway there. So there's no danger for anybody as far as, kids being out in the middle of Highway 12 or Clay Street or Bragg. And it just makes sense. But I hope that you'll move on this pretty quickly. If it's permits, people are, a little worried about will it bring down the value of our homes. Well, I don't believe that will happen. But also, summer's coming, and it's been going on and on and on. And Traintown, those houses on Clay Street have been there since 1999. For a couple of years during the pandemic, of course, we didn't see any traffic with Traintown. And now, as witnessed last night at the Music in the Park, everybody is out and coming to Traintown. So I really hope that you'll move quickly on this, and you will definitely have the support of Clay Street neighbors. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Any more public comments? So-
Hello, my name is Zach Tweedy, Sonoma City resident. It sounds as though the problem is twofold. One of parking availability as well as the excess overflow. I do believe a two-pronged solution is available, one where a notification of adjacent parking elsewhere, like the high school nearby, and incorporating extra parking into Train Town's availability, as well as a permit availability for the residents at the street. I do believe we can do both if that is something that the council wishes to decide upon.
Thank you, Zach. Yes, please.
Cody Binkley, BMV. Real quick, it's good to be here. Long story short, this has been a long lifetime of people that have physically run this property, understanding the developments that have gone down here my whole entire life. That used to be a flat land. And so therefore, people are going to roam no matter what. And especially when you develop the homes that are going to be there and already been approved for low-income housing. They actually aren't low-income housing. What I'm saying to you is, no matter what, these people are going to roam around these parts because these kids have an opportunity to go to like a Disneyland. Most people don't understand that they're given the opportunity to go to these awesome places. When you ride around Train Town, that's like it's a gem in a sense. And so therefore, we're going to have, we don't have the parking to make sure that's a possibility. There's no way that these people aren't going to have the opportunity to not roam around these spots. I know it sucks, but we have to figure out a way to make it okay for everybody.
Thank you. Could you please spell your last name?
Binkley.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Ding, members of council. Mark Bodenhammer here on behalf of the Sonoma Valley Chamber of Commerce. Councilmember Agramonte mentioned the possibility of a shuttle. It's something that we've kind of discussed on a number of occasions over the past couple of years, and certainly before that. I think it's really a great idea. It might be something that would require working with the county, because it would probably be a lot more viable if we had something that went from the Springs down to, say Shellville area, somewhere like that. But it would be a great idea. There might be an opportunity to see if Train Town would be interested in being a, participating funder in it and work with the hotels. And maybe there's some way between the county, the city, some of the large hotel properties and some of the bigger attractions, we could come up with enough funding to offset the cost and make it, $1 a ride or something like that works for families and is accessible to everybody. So we'd certainly be happy to help out with exploring that if there's interest from the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any more comments? If none, I want to close the public comments. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. To follow up on the residents' question about sequencing and timing, if the council does approve going forward with a permit program tonight, how quickly can we realistically expect implementation of this?
First of all, I think we would then need to convene a meeting of the Traffic Safety Committee, have some time to prepare a recommendation to that body. And I think at that point, then return to your council. I'm thinking 120 days at the earliest before we can come back.
So that committee already approved or made that recommendation, so why would they would have to review the particulars of it, or?
My thought would be that we would work out the particulars of it, formulate a recommendation to it, and then have that come back to your council. Or alternatively, we come directly back to your council now that they've approved it. But I think theoretically they're the experts. It's your public works staff and also a traffic consultant. I thought that would be a beneficial thing, but perhaps we bypass that. We could skip some time on it.
I'm open to either direction. I mean, I'm just trying to facilitate, expedite the process, I guess,
I
but
think-
also respect the process. So
I think it would be too aggressive to get before your break, which is July. So I think we could probably do it by August, come back to you with a recommendation whether we go to the traffic safety or not. But if your direction is to come back in August, we can try to figure out the best path to get to do that.
Because it's summertime, school. Anyway, more comments?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Mr. Vice Mayor, you also are on the SCTA, so possibly they have some ideas about a shuttle, an EV shuttle. And also, we do have a free bus that comes through on Broadway. I think it goes down to MacArthur. East MacArthur is the most south. But possibly, I know they want to have an electric bus. They're talking about that. But maybe with a schedule from the bus, it says maybe they come every hour or something like that. Maybe people would be able to time those and bring them somewhere to where there's parking. But that's beyond my vision. So those are a couple of suggestions. I mean, we never had a free bus, and then we did, so that's really great, but I don't know if this would actually fix that.
Well, to begin with, I'm in favor of going with a permit program for that neighborhood because it's been such a long-standing problem in that area. But given the fact that it would probably be the horse outside the barn until after summer's over with, that I would also like to pursue what Councilperson Lowe suggested, that we contact the school district and see if some available parking could be made at the middle school or even the high school, which does provide a much safer route of travel to Traintown, and a couple of signs saying if you need overflow parking, it's just down the street, could solve some of that issue. But I think it's a problem that we should address, and I would like to address it with a permit program in the long term, but also try to find another solution temporarily to get us through the summer season. Thank you.
Thank you. I support the permit. Also, I agree with Councilmember Lowe's suggestion. Yeah, try to work with adjacent area and see if any another possibilities. And also, I want to know what is the time frame for the safety committee meeting?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, they meet on an as-needed basis, so I think we can pick up the phone tomorrow and try to get the Public Works folks together. Obviously, putting something together, we don't want to come to council with a plan that's going to fail. I mean, the enforcement of it is the critical piece. So we need to talk to police as well and try to figure out a strategy to do that. I'd actually call that a short-term solution, trying to get something like that in before July. So, see, we're in May. Maybe if there's direction to the city manager, we could have the city manager implement a permit program, unless the council wants to see the logistics of it. We could begin on that, as soon as we can. I'm not quite sure. I'm thinking aloud here, and I probably said something I shouldn't have said already.
what if tonight?
Yeah, if tonight, your Council Jeff was just saying that should your council wish to have an RPPP, we would need to establish it by resolution. We could come back at maybe the next meeting might be rough to do that, but certainly we can try to get it done in June before you take your break.
Yeah.
So if tonight we give direction
Yeah.
that we want a permit program. Is there any possibility we could start putting up signs on the street, basically that this is permit parking from certain, and then work out the details later? Thinking that many people might not park there because it says it's permit parking, and so, if we reduce, you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah,
You can't do that?
Yeah,
Jeff is
middle of
saying
the
no.
night, you suggesting go down and.
Just put up permit parking here, and then we'll figure out the details later.
Yeah, let's put cones out
A
there.
significant percentage of people visiting Sonoma probably wouldn't be parking there.
Well, people try to leave
Yeah.
their garbage cans out all the time, so nobody can park there.
So I guess the answer is
Yeah.
no.
Resolution or ordinance.
Okay.
All right, yeah, we agree.
Good
It
suggestion.
may be
Yeah.
possible to survey neighboring cities that have these in place, and there are. I would bet Santa Rosa has some neighborhoods that have preferential parking programs. Some of the bigger cities have them. And maybe they have a traffic guru, has a whole packet of material, resolution, ordinance, protocols, forms, and that might help expedite the processing of this particular project.
Right, because there's also an administrative side of it as well, because you have to issue the permits, and also there should be some fee involved because of the, the cost to administer it, so. And how many
I see.
cars can you have a permit on, and, there's a lot of things that you have to think about.
All right, yeah. Do you think, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wonder, do you need us to have the motion or direction, or just so we can come back?
I think if your council gave us a direction, take a vote, a straw vote, and let us know that there's a consensus to formulate an RPPP, then we can go back and present you with a resolution at a later date as soon as we can.
Do you think it's good? Yeah, that's good.
It's a great
Yeah,
idea.
I'd like to make a motion to that effect, that we move forward on a residential permit parking program, and in addition to that, research available parking that can be overflow and safety for the island known as Train Town. And then further, I'd like to add Mr. Bodenheimer's suggestion that we also continue to research our collaboration on any sort of transit to all of our wonderful, facilities, including the plaza, because, people, if they could park south of, Train Town or whatever and go up to the plaza, that would be nice, and then they can go wine tasting and not be driving and not be parking and all of those other good things. So I think all of that together needs to happen.
We have the motion. Who can second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Agramonte,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett,
Aye.
Councilmember Felder,
Aye.
Councilmember Lowe,
Aye.
Mayor Dean.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Agenda number 6.2, discussion, consideration, and a possible action regarding options for continuing or cessation of the Sonoma al fresco program, which terminates on October 31st, 2022. Christina.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. You're welcome. So just a quick reminder of everyone of what our Sonoma Alfresco program is. It was established by resolution on May 18th, 2020, and gave a lot of power to the city manager and staff to work with our local businesses to work on being flexible and being able to expand their operations to get through the COVID pandemic. This included expanding into the public right-of-way, such as parking areas, roadways, as well as on private property. So tonight we're primarily going to be talking about parklets, but the Alfresco program does include other expansions. So there's some private parking lots in front of Sojourn. They've been using that front area. So there really are a wide number of improvements that have been implemented through this program. So due to the need to move very quickly on this issue, city staff was working with the businesses basically as quick as we could, and there wasn't a lot of programming. The design requirements were minimal, construction varied from project to project, and as a result we have a lack of cohesion as we're moving towards the endemic stage of this pandemic. The city did not charge any fees, and all of the permits were issued by staff. I have some pictures for you just to show the variety. We have the Basque on the left, Oso, and Della Santina. And this shows you the variety. So Della Santina is, I believe, is a rented structure that was like an event, special events facility. The parklet at Oso was collaborated with the city and GMH Builders. And the Basque is a more limited installation where there isn't a floor. It's on the sidewalk with the curb and the use of water walls that were purchased by the city. So currently, as it stands today, we have 15 businesses that are operating with physical improvements. As I mentioned, there are other benefits to the Alfresco program. This includes 13 restaurants, Sweet Scoops, 1 tasting room, and 1 bar. We have a total of 14 parklets and 1 sidewalk extension. And the difference is that the sidewalk extension is part of the public right-of-way that was constructed by the city, and there's no dining on the sidewalk extension. The parklets were paid for by the individual business owners and are for their exclusive use. So these take up a total of 56 parking spaces, and the total around the plaza is over 1,000. So we have about 800 parking spaces on the plaza, I believe, and 300 that are in private parking. So the current program will expire on October 31st, 2022. And as it stands now, those parklets would be removed and the plaza would be returned to existing conditions unless the program is continued. So here is a map of the existing parklets and just a table breakdown of all the different businesses, and also have an estimate of the number of seats that are in each of those. We did an analysis looking at how much space they were taking up and how much they were being able to use that and turn that into revenue. The First Street East closure is also part of the Alfresco program. This includes the Pangloss structure and a parklet for Maya. On March 16th, 2022, the City Council established the Parklet Ad Hoc Subcommittee comprised of Vice Mayor Barnett and Councilmember Felder. And the charge for the ad hoc was to analyze issues that could arise during staff's consideration of the future of the temporary alfresco program, including but not limited to design standards, considerations of impacts, costs, and duration. And to that effect, since that time, staff has been collaborating with the ad hoc as well as the Sonoma Valley Chamber of Commerce and the Visitors Bureau to evaluate every single option that we could think of. We have been discussing very passionately at times. And there are a lot of considerations. It's not a simple issue, so I just have a list of some of the topics that have come up. So parklets have supported the city in generating tax revenue. They've helped the city recover from budget shortfalls due to COVID. Continuing the program would allow the city to continue recouping that lost tax revenue and support the city during future potential economic downturns. They really have been imperative for keeping our restaurants open during COVID. A number of the businesses had no outside dining, and for a while when you could only dine outdoors, they were really essential. Comments from the Chamber of Commerce and the Visitors Bureau is that the public prefers to be dining outdoors at this time, and there's general community support for additional outdoor dining options. This is the Girl in the Fig parklet. So some other considerations are there are concerns about parklets removing parking from general use, issues with potential issues with ADA compliance, concerns about aesthetics and visibility, especially on our historic plaza, challenges accessing other businesses as well as blocking views of other businesses. The program potentially has direct benefits only to a few on the plaza and can detract from views of the historic buildings. Currently, the city is not charging any fees, and there could be potential traffic and pedestrian congestion. So the Chamber of Commerce conducted a survey of local businesses and did outreach. Mark, do you want to come up and explain the survey? You'll do a better job than I will.
Sure, thank you. One quick point of clarification. There was a comment previously that I said that the public prefers outdoor dining. We haven't done any public surveys. Anecdotally, I've heard a number of people who do have a preference for not dining inside yet. So I just want to clarify that. There's no, data behind that. I've just heard a couple comments to that effect. With regard to the survey, we actually partnered with the Sonoma Valley Visitors Bureau on this survey. We went around to every one of the plaza area businesses, and then we extended out a block or 2 blocks, kind of depending on the nature of what happened down that block. So we covered, I think, about 150 total businesses. Most of those are the ones that you recognize around the plaza, but some of the office spaces that are above and tucked down the alleyways, some of the real estate offices, things like that. So everybody had a chance to participate in that. We got 30 total responses back, as you can see on this form. 14 of those respondents said continue as is, so just don't make any changes and extend this for another year. 8 said continue with modifications. So those are people who are saying, we like the parklets, but we'd like them cleaned up, we'd like them smaller, we'd like to maybe get rid of some of the ones that aren't being used, things like that, or had some issues with fairness in terms of, I have a space that I pay for, the parking should be shared by all of us, and some of my neighbors are getting to use that for free. And then 8 said eliminate parklets as planned. As you can probably imagine, some of the 14 were people who have parklets, and some others who just really support them and like having that extra outdoor dining option. They were pretty passionate about that. And the 8 who want to eliminate parklets are in that same category. There were some very passionate feelings on that end as well. So we're standing by to help. As you can see on the survey, we did a little breakdown industry by industry, so you can kind of get a sense of where each industry is thinking. There's not a ton of respondents, a little bit of a small sample size, so I don't know exactly how scientific this data is, but gives you a snapshot of how people are thinking. And we're standing by to help if you guys need any more surveys done, whether that's for the public or going back out for more input from the business community. And just last thing I'd like to say is we did confirm that each of the respondents was in fact a business. This wasn't a survey that was just fired out there and anybody could anonymously respond. We had them tell us which business they were and kind of confirmed through the survey system that it was that business responding. So we do feel accurate in saying that those are really from people around the plaza. So that's all for now. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. This is just an interesting couple photos to show the different views from inside a parklet, outside a parklet, some of the differences between having diagonal parklets versus parallel parklets. It really is a very complicated issue. Every single one of our blocks and every stretch of the sidewalk is very unique and different. We have the bistro. And again, this is 3 different shots of the same parklet, and you can see how the aesthetics really varies depending on how you're viewing this. So the ad hoc, we've been working for many weeks at this point, and I believe we've looked at the issue from pretty much every angle. These are the general recommendations from the ad hoc. First is the direction for staff to work with code enforcement to address health and safety concerns, improve ADA access, and make aesthetic improvements. And the primary concern has been the water walls, the big orange water walls. So staff is working with the Department of Public Works and our public safety officials to investigate that option. The goal is to have intermediate improvements completed by May 26th, 2022. So spending the next month to make improvements before Memorial Day weekend so that over the summer our plaza is looking as wonderful as we can make it. And then...
Could I interrupt just for a minute? On that first one about the intermediate improvements, not only was to remove the water walls, but it was to remove the canopy structures.
Correct.
But that, I'm just highlighting, that wasn't on here.
So, yeah, there's a whole list of like 10 items that we're trying to come up with some basic standards that would be applied to all of the businesses, and the intention is to have a letter go out to all of the businesses, and we'll have a form letter checklist and tailor it for each individual business. And then the recommendation for potentially moving the do you have a question?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry, could you repeat what, I'm sorry, Councilmember Felder, you said water walls and,
So the orange
oh.
K walls or K barriers,
Right.
Yes,
whatever they
K
call. And any of the canopies or tent structures would be removed by Memorial Day.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And umbrellas would be
Your concern,
okay.
Safety, like always.
So then the issue of whether or not to continue the parklet program, the direction from the ad hoc was before making that decision for staff to work on developing a comprehensive parklet guideline standard for consideration by the council. So that would be the next step, is for us to take a deeper dive into how could we improve this program moving forward, make some tweaks. I believe just at a quick glance, we can reduce the number of parking spaces by about 10% without sacrificing any of the capacity and tables, and some other safety issues as well. The final recommendation was that the parklet should be made accessible to the public during the 4th of July parade, and that all business activities should be prohibited before 12 p.m. And this is in line with some other local jurisdictions are doing as well. So we just have some discussion topics for council, and also have some photos that we put together. The planning director, the planning commission chair, and myself were in San Diego this weekend for the planning conference. And we have some examples of parklets that we were enjoying. They don't have any diagonal parklets. They are all, good timing. Would you like to come up, Ron? Okay. All of their parklets were parallel parklets. They were approximately 8 feet wide. They were fairly compact. They also had a wide range of design options, so we're only showing the good ones that we liked. There were definitely some that looked like, it was garbage that needed to be scraped away, but some of them were really, really lovely. In the top left corner, you can see that this one has electrical lights that are built in. It had some down lighting.
Oh, yeah,
Most of them had like decking material on the bottom instead of plywood. San Diego. This one utilized a lot of landscaping, which I thought was really nice.
Landscaping. That is maybe New
San
York.
Diego, it's
San Diego.
not really
San
relevant.
Diego.
And it was also really helpful because they've been on the forefront of making these more permanent, and so it was really interesting to see their program and guidelines first and then go down and see them being implemented. This was our favorite. So that's the end of our presentation. Do you have anything to add?
Good evening. Ron Wellander, 1149 Neal Court, Sonoma, California. I'm speaking this evening not as a member of the Planning Commission, but as an invited guest of the ad hoc committee that has been working on the parklets. And I did join both David and Christina down to Southern California to attend the planning conference in which, as has been suggested, that the city of San Diego has a tremendous number of examples of parklets that vary between being architecturally wonderful and architecturally modest. And I have been struggling with this whole concept of the parklets and their duration, and should we keep them, should we not? And my thought at this point would be to continue to work with staff and the ad hoc committee and help develop some options, because it seems like at this point in time we have options. I am concerned, and I am consistent with my concern, and that is the longer we keep them up, there's the potential for it to be implied that they'll become permanent. And unlike every community that I have gone to kind of do my review of existing parklets, none of them have the historic plaza that we have in Sonoma. And in particular, the ones that we saw in San Diego, they were along typical street just streetways, and when you have them on both sides, they do kind of reinforce that kind of linear alley. And again, I continue to struggle with how to take that vision and then superimpose it even further on in and around the plaza. And it's just difficult for me to find something that truly is going to be complementary to what we all value in terms of the plaza. And my last comment has a little bit to do with our goal of continuing to keep our downtown core vibrant and alive and healthy, so that not only is it something we're proud of in terms of just an energized core, but of course the ability to also generate some tax base. And so to that, I have great concern and am a very strong proponent of the idea that we really need to step back and look at the whole. We need to look at the whole plaza. We need to look at the connection between Depot Park to the plaza through Casa Grande parking lot. We really need to look at a comprehensive plan on how to keep the health of our plaza, particularly the landscaping portion of it, just healthy. And I believe that it's a dynamic space, and unless we come up with a very proactive measure to stay on top of it, it will continue to kind of subtly deteriorate to the point where it will be just a disappointment for all of us here. And to that extent, and the reason I bring that up is that if there is a desire on the part of the city council to invest on the outdoor spaces around the plaza, then it would be at that time in terms of this, evaluating the streetscape, how it just embraces both the street as well as the storefronts. That would be the time to really look at the potential. And of course, with that kind of evaluation and that kind of design, you're talking about a significant investment of money. And that's why, again, I feel strong that that's the right route to go, or that's a prudent route to go in terms of protecting an investment, and that the parklets is something that I'm glad we did. But again, the way they are, I just think that they are a visual compromise. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions regarding my due diligence in San Diego, but if not, I will quietly walk away. I will quietly walk away.
It's hot.
Okay.
So that's the end of our presentation, and staff's available for questions.
Thank you so much. And first of all, I want to say a thank you to Vice Mayor Barnett, Councilmember Felder, the leadership for this project. And questions?
Can we get San Diego off the screen? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just had a question about San Diego, since it's still on the screen. Is that the recommendation was to get rid of the canopies? And yet some of the pictures that you're showing that were the ones that you liked had canopies. They were wooden, they were structures, they weren't tents. But I just want to know, how do you discern the difference, and what made you like those? And I mean, I could tell you visually, yes, that looks better. But is the reason we're getting rid of them is because they're an eyesore, or because they're blocking the views of the other buildings, et cetera?
We are not responsible for the photos from San Diego.
No, I
do not understand how that came in. Yeah,
I understand, but I'm just saying,
The
I get it.
rationale for so tents and roofs are two different things. The roofs have gone through a building permit process. I think that highlights one thing that's unique to San Diego that is different from the plaza. The Sonoma Plaza is a National Historic Register. It is a historic place, and there's varying degrees of success, I would say, with our tents. Some of them, the visual is just looking at kind of saran wrap being wrapped around the plaza, and that's one of the biggest complaints that we have received has been about the tents. Some of the businesses achieve shade through umbrellas, and that is a much lower profile approach.
Okay, and are we talking about the elimination of the tents, if you will, year-round, or is this just a summer thing? I mean, are we thinking at all about what happens in winter or just a question for the subcommittee, perhaps, through the mayor, if you will?
Yeah, and then you go first.
Well, this is the last discussion we had in the ad hoc committee was to try to decide what do we do between now and October, and then what do we do moving forward from the end of October. And we felt as a subcommittee that there were a lot of things that could be cleaned up in the existing format long before October that are probably in violation of fire codes or have other aesthetic detraction to the plaza that don't have to be there, especially during the summer season. So the immediate direction was for them to, for staff to go through code enforcement to remove the K-rails, remove the tents, because it's easier just to take them all off during the summer season and then come back with a set of guidelines or design standards that may apply going forward. But to get rid of it for now so we can see a clean slate.
Okay.
There was one other thing that did not come up in the presentation, and the current encroachment permits apply till October 31st, but it's my understanding that both police and fire would like to reopen First Street East, and they were willing to leave it in place until the encroachment permit expired, but to then reopen the street. And so I think that's another recommendation, at least from the ad hoc committee, is to get the street back open no later than the 31st of October.
And if I may follow up, Mr. Mayor, to my subcommittee folks, was there any discussion within the committee regarding something for the retail establishments that are not, food, wine, because my guess is, in looking at the histogram from the chamber, is that's their issue, and I feel for them, so.
Well, part of the discussion would evolve on a set of design standards that would come forward, and I think we have a leaning towards going with umbrellas or more of a European look, and maybe have sidewalk extensions. So if you go to a plan for sidewalk extensions, it also can benefit some of the other retailers on the plaza, because now they can have even a display spot in front of their store. There are ways to do sidewalk extensions where you don't reduce the parking count around the plaza, which would preserve that parking for the other retail establishments. So there's a number of things, but that's going to take some work in fleshing out the design standards. And we're
Did you look at all about 20-minute zones or anything in front of some of the retail establishments, or something to offer them?
Well, that's probably in the larger picture of.
Okay.
We did, I think Mark's going to chime in and say the same thing, but we did have discussions about the retail businesses and how to include them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a whole lot of details. This is at this point, it's kind of intentionally vague. We hit a point in the process, and I'll get more into the thank yous later, but I do want to just recognize the ad hoc committee of these two council members and Planning Commissioner Wellander. They've done a ton of research, and as you can imagine, there's a lot of factors to balance. I mean, there's safety issues, there's aesthetic issues, there's fairness issues, there's economic issues, there's what does the public support, and each site is different. And so we're trying to basically, I think at this point, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I think the ad hoc committee was just looking for a little bit of guidance from you in terms of what the three of you were feeling, so that we can kind of drill down those issues and get into the finer points later. But at this point, it was sort of like, well, should we really spend all the time on the little itty bitty things if the three of you are just just going to say, forget it, let's blow these out and keep them for 5 more years as is. So right now it's just kind of getting your input on what things are important to the three of you so that the council or the ad hoc committee with staff's help can kind of drill down those issues. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback on that, I think Mark's exactly right. I think it was time we brought it to the council because we've had many meetings, and I will say we've sort of made vague general recommendations, but they're extremely vague, and depending on the hour, we go back and forth on it. Because every time you open up a door here, there are unintended consequences you're not considering, and I think it's time we get the public's input and all of your input on this. I think we all want to preserve a European-style outdoor dining element on the plaza. And we had to do it over the last 2 years. We just don't know exactly how to do that going forward. And we have a few ideas about that. I think the best idea we came up with, which has not really been necessarily verified to be possible, but if it was possible and if we could maybe allocate funding to see if this was possible, are basically sidewalk extensions, as Councilman Felder just mentioned, very similar to in front of Cafe La Haye, where the idea would be restaurants and retailers, et cetera, you would be able to fill basically the sidewalk with all of your tables, and then the sidewalk would actually be in the sidewalk extension, very similar to Cafe La Haye. And I know staff's a huge fan of this project, but Bob and I liked it, and it would be umbrellas and everything, and depending on, and this was really, I have to give credit to Ron Wellender for this, depending on how large that sidewalk extension was, potentially you wouldn't sacrifice any parking, because you would just narrow the street a little, you would bring the sidewalk out, you would fill the sidewalk with tables, and you wouldn't lose any parking, and you wouldn't have structures. You would basically just have tables and umbrellas and that sort of European outdoor style dining. So that's one possibility. Another possibility is obviously no parklets at all. It ends on October 31st. Or another possibility is enhanced, strongly enhanced design standards, knowing full well this is a national landmark. And the more and more resources we ask restaurants to put into these temporary structures, the reality is they'll probably become, to some level, permanent. I think the ultimate goal, long term, is similar to what Councilman Felder and Planning Chair Ron Wellender said, is a long-term master plan strategy for the plaza and Depot Park, and looking for ways to better facilitate and encourage sort of that outdoor dining and outdoor space and enjoying the outdoors, probably in concert with a parking district or a parking management plan. And that has to be sort of done together. The issue is we're not going to be able to do that all by October 31st. And so really the question for this ad hoc committee and for this council is, what do we do between the future and October 31st? And are there reasonable compromises to continue the parklet program, preserve as much parking as possible? Perhaps there are different ways to do this in sort of an outside-the-box way, which might include sidewalk extensions. So that's sort of where we're at, and it was really, we sort of brought it back to council as soon as possible because A, we need all of your input at this point, and B, we need to make a sort of decision as soon as possible because businesses need as much time as possible to prepare.
Mr. Mayor, can I speak?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to soften what I have to say. I'll just be very nice about this. Here are my huge concerns, and I think that my fears have been allayed by the city manager. I think it was Garrett Toy who said, anyone that is hurt in one of these parklets, it will be reported by somebody. And I don't know if that ever really happened. There was one person who was seriously injured at Maya, ended up with a concussion, taken to the hospital and got stitches. Another one was where a car ran through, I think it was Bistro, backed up. I was assured that that would never happen. It happened. So my concern is that we need somebody to report these things. I called the police and said, how does this happen? They said, well, if the restaurant doesn't tell us, we don't know. Or if a person doesn't tell us this has happened to them, they don't know. The issue of K-rails, I understood that those are really for safety, especially if they're filled with water. I think, I think it's, I don't know physics, but I think if you hit an empty K-rail, it's gonna fly and knock somebody's head off. But if it's filled with water, it will not, especially if it's attached to the other K-rails. I can't see how you can drag that to hurt a person. Those are my first concerns. So the reporting accidents, and I don't know, Ms. Casey, if that was ever changed. I was told that it was or going to. The other thing, thank you to Mr. Wallander regarding historic, because that's the difference. This place is a historic place. And I think it's very important that we hold on to that. And it's interesting that the surveys were done by the restaurants. You know, do you want this or not? Maybe I'm wrong, but
It was all businesses.
all businesses. Speaking of businesses, the retails, and I've heard people say, well, you know, the retail stores are suffering because other people are shopping online. I don't think so also, because there's no parking. Our big, huge issue is parking. Parking. And if we would ever move forward, Bob and I, with the Casa Grande parking lot, you know, obviously that would certainly make a difference. So I feel sorry for the retail stores. I personally, First Street East, I'm with the Women's Club. I'm sick of making U-turns to get out of there. I think that needs, for me personally, I think that needs to go. And let's see, the reporting accidents, the effect on retail stores, First Street East. These are all the things that really bother me, but I will say I admire the work that you've done. That's why I came off the Development Code Committee, because I couldn't see through this. I was so annoyed by it. You know, people have said there are some really dangerous, especially the canopy things. When trucks go by, the whole thing shakes. So those things are really bothering me, and I appreciate all the hard work you've done, the staff, everybody working together. But I'm pretty clear, I'm not past October. I think I did it because I thought it was good, but it hasn't turned out to be good for everybody. I mean, I appreciate all your hard work. I actually feel that I agree. And Vice Mayor Barnett, I think your idea of the future with umbrellas, sort of like, and I'll take a trip to Italy if somebody would like to pay for that, so we can find out if it really works. There, we can set it on sidewalks. But I really think you've done a lot of hard work. I find it more palatable because I know that what you're doing is responsible. But I'm pretty clear on how I feel. There's nothing coming for me after October, unless you can show me personally that this is really going to be different. Because I won't use my word that I wanted to say, because I want people to feel everyone is included in this. But you know, that's how I feel. So I appreciate your hard work.
Thank you, Councilmember Agramonte. Yeah, we already spend the time identify the issues and what is good, what is bad, but we needed to listen to public. That is most important things. Right now, I'm open to public, and it's your time. Start with your name and how to spell it. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Joel Hoechuk, and I am the General Manager at El Dorado Kitchen on the Plaza. So first, I want to thank everybody here tonight for allowing us to have parklet. Because I know that some people disagree with it, but during COVID and the hard time we had, if we didn't have the parklet, a lot of people would have been starving and not have a job. And the parklet really help us keep a lot of our staff and feed them during the hard time. So I'm going to go in a different direction, and I totally understand about the historical aspect of the plaza and the look of it, and I agree that some parklet looks good, some parklet are not so good, and that some modifications are needed on some parklet. When we started talking about canopy, we had a canopy, and we removed it because of to be compliant with the fire department. Those canopy were unsafe. He was helping us, cover the guests because it was raining, but that was totally unsafe, and we removed them. And we filled up an application to have a nice-looking canopy that was designed and engineered by an architect, and that will go in tune with the building and the surrounding, with electrical heater and something that will be safe. Our parklet at EDK is ADA compliant, and it's totally safe. I do agree that, and we thank you again for letting us have those parklets for free, and I agree that we could pay, a fee to keep those parklets. And as well, the parklet, brought us during the COVID time $697,000, of which we pay tax to the city, which helped the city as well. And then, on another point, when I was looking at the slide, and I saw the other comment when we talk about allowing the public on our parklet on July 4th, I will disagree with that because those parklets are covered by our liquor license, and we are responsible. So if people drink on those parklets and something happens, we are responsible for it. So I will be against allowing, anybody on those parklets if we cannot control what is going on it by letting the general public using them. This parklet we have at EDK costs $36,000, which was a lot of money to fork out during the COVID time. And if we are allowed to keep those parklets past October 31st, we are ready, and we budget another $40,000 to embellish it and to cover it, not with a canopy, but with a better structure, and to have those heaters and make as well the parklet safer. So,
Thank you so much, Joe.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Good evening, council members. My name is Ryan Laley, Lely, 555 Siesta Way in Sonoma. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of Pangloss Cellars. We understand that the parklets on First Street East seem to fall into their own category due to the closure of the street and the desire for fire and police to have the street reopen. We'd like the council to consider three options regarding First Street East. First option, our understanding is that the council will not make the final determinations of the fate of the parklet program until July, and our permit is set to expire on October 31st. We would like the council to consider extending the permit to January 1st, 2023. This extension would allow us to, A, use the parklet through our busy season, which is September, October, and November. If we miss out on this year's busy season, the loss of sales and jobs would be significant. And B, have enough of a heads up to remove the parklet in an orderly fashion. If we don't get the ruling until late summer that the parklet is indeed needs to be removed by November 1st, that will provide us with very little time to dismantle and remove the parklet. And it will be very burdensome to both our business and Maya having construction crews dismantling during business hours. Point two, should an extension not be granted, we want to start the conversation now with the city regarding what furniture and in what quantity we can place on the sidewalks of First Street East to keep some added capacity and space for guests that prefer to be outside. We need this guidance so we can properly prepare to pivot our business with this new setup, order furniture, train staff, inform referral partners, etc. If the permit is not extended past October 31st, we would like to remove the terrace in August for it to not impact our day-to-day operations at the height of our busy season. We would want to place several tables on the east side of the building, as we did during COVID before the parklet program was put into place. We would need to present and work through the details with the appropriate agencies as soon as possible. We cannot have the loss of revenue and jobs due to the lack of a timely decision. We are happy to make the time and present the appropriate plans by the end of May to whatever agencies we need. Third point, explore the possibility of making First Street East a one-way street. Fundamentally, the historic downtown Sonoma Plaza should be managed to primarily solve for what is great for the community, meaning people. Sadly, too much space on the plaza is dedicated to cars, not humans, and too many decisions seem to be made based on other considerations than what is best for the people of the community. We understand that fire safety is important, but surely that consideration can be adequately met by First Street East being a one-way street. And we believe the parking, while important, is still secondary to providing ample space for humans to interact, dine, and relax. The plaza was built as a place for the community to come together. Only a century later was it mistakenly turned into a parking lot. It feels like the COVID shutdowns, perhaps as a tiny silver lining, provide a rare opportunity to rethink traffic flows and parking are managed on the plaza and give the plaza back to the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Lilly.
Hi, good evening. My name is Miranda Ives of Sausage Emporium, IVES. Thank you so much for calling this to public forum. And also thank you so much for considering the very specific needs of restaurants and small business in our town during COVID and providing opportunities to feel like we weren't gonna lose everything. I wanted to actually speak on behalf of my neighbor, Pangloss. We share the same building, we're the same APN number. We share a lot of the same customers. I am absolutely, after really reviewing the behaviors on First Street East, having been there now for 8 months, that the 18 hours of events that are planned in May at the Women's Center, the hour-and-a-half church service once a week, the appointment-only businesses that are 2 on First Street East do not demand traffic through there. It is easily accessible on foot. There was a letter written in regards to impact on the court shops, which is not acceptable. That is egress, where their AC units and garbage are. The clear and obvious entrance to the court shops is obviously on East Napa Street. Everybody knows that. I don't believe that those businesses in the court shops were impacted because they could not be accessed on First Street East. They were impacted because of COVID, just like the rest of us. Those are small businesses in the retail and food and wine industries, and we all know those were impacted the most. The woman who wrote that letter refused her own tenants a parklet opportunity. So to say that she's concerned about their survival and that the First Street East is the cause of their potential slowing of business is not acceptable. I really, really need Pangloss and Maya to be able to continue their business. I think that it's been a beautiful addition to the plaza. We're talking about aesthetics, and now you're talking about tearing down the best one? That doesn't make sense to me. It's a beautiful parklet, and I think that I hope that you really consider Ryan's one-way street consideration. It's a compromise, and I'm just here in support of my neighbors. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, John Twilsey, the Girl and the Fig. I live outside the city limits, but I'm a West Side guy on Solano Avenue. Yeah. So, first off, I wanted to start by saying thank you to the city staff and to the council. I know there were some different faces back then, but the collaboration and the speed that this happened for us to have the parklets in that time was nothing I had experienced before. I won't say that I've always enjoyed the relationship, but it really turned around, and so thank you for that. It is life and death for many of us in the business, for many of our staff. The opportunity that was given to us to have the parklets, the speed at which it was done, the collaboration, the spirit of we're working on this together. Yes, there are problems, but we know that as a group, the vibrancy of the plaza is key, and so I just can't thank the council and the staff enough for that. Thank yous from my heart and from my staff. Number 2, just a quick mention about the water or the K-rails or whatever the heck those things are called. I hate them. We were told we had to have them when we put our parklet up, and then that's why we did everything we could to cover them, but I was told I couldn't cover the orange on the outside.
So that's why we did ours, but I agree with you, they're horrible. They look horrible, but I was told I had to have them. So I think that's important to just note. Lastly, I do wish some accommodation going forward could be happen. If it means that we need to give up some of our space, we have the sidewalk too, and that would happen, we'd gladly do that for the vibrancy of the plaza and if it benefited our neighbors. I know that we're taking 4 spaces up. If we have to give some of those back, we gladly do that. I also know the 2 spots in front of us are originally were designated for short-term parking for picking up. We don't need that anymore. We're not doing that business currently. So if those parking spaces could be converted. But I think the point I'm making is we want to engage, and we're very, very ready to work with you and continue to work with you to create and continue a program that I think is vital. And I'll finish with the fact that I do think the retailers need to have a say in this, but I will say the vibrancy of the plaza benefits all of us. And having more parking spaces and less businesses is not going to create that vibrancy. And then lastly, we employ about 70 plus employees at the Grow on the Fig. So as a footprint or a square footage, our employee basis is higher than most. I don't say that as, oh, look at me, but I say that as the importance of what it is. And I just want to say that having the parklets allowed us to keep a number of the staff that we wouldn't have through the winter. Planning for next year will be huge. But it's really allowed us, most of our dining is outside, most of the demand is still outside every day. Most of our people don't want to eat inside yet. But it's allowed us to keep a lot of people employed, making very good wages. And that's because of the parklet money. It's very simple. Most of our staff makes $18 or more. We're committed to making that to $20 by the end of the year. But we can't do that without those parklet dollars. So those parklets have fallen right into our staff's pockets. And they are key to making this community, and I know I'm up, but it's just finished this point, affordable and livable. We pay great wages, but we do that because of the collaboration and that space. So if we need to have flexibility, do it, but I can't tell you how important it is. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Yes, yes.
I just want to bring up one thing, that giant eucalyptus tree that's in the square. Eucalyptus kill more arborists than any other tree. And notorious being short roots and limbs falling down. A friend of mine was an arborist, was taking care of the Presidio. He walked past where a brain surgeon was lying on a blanket with his girlfriend. As he walked by, he noticed this big limb was about ready to go at any time. He told the brain surgeon, you might want to move. The brain surgeon said, I'm a brain surgeon. I know what I'm doing. Mind your own business. On his way back through the Presidio, ambulance was there. Big limb fell out and killed both of them. So I hope you do something about that eucalyptus tree. I worry about it every day. Thank you.
Next. Thank you.
Laura Havlick, HAVLEK, Sign of the Bear. Thank you all for working so hard to make Sonoma work for everybody who's here. I love the town, and it, as John, you were saying earlier, it is the mix that makes the plaza work. For us in retail, weirdly, the pinch of parking is tightest in Q4 from Thanksgiving to Christmas. I don't know, which seems to me when the parklets are least used. I have thought about it irregularly and without particular insight, but that there might be a way to expand into those if there's some engineering possibility of using those spaces for retail in that short window when it's dark early, relatively cold, and some parklets are highly efficiently used and others did not appear to be. As it happens, I live in town and walk to work most days. I know I'm lucky. And it's interesting that some parklets are clearly vitally contributing to the success of restaurants that let lots of people live great lives here, and it matters to all of us that they're there. And the other side is I also see some retailers really struggling. We've been unbelievably, humblingly supported by the community, and we've been lucky to be in an industry that overlaps with what people need when they're stuck home. But I also see other small mom and pop stores really struggling, and I worry about some of the planning. I love the idea of expanding the sidewalk. Tables on the sidewalk in a time when staffing is tight are really probably not helpful to retail, and nor is short-term parking, because what makes our businesses work is people actually walking the plaza. And I have concerns when I see a push for parking as the enemy or cars as the enemy, because we are lucky to serve many older clients for whom walking is not the only viable option, and also people in busy lives with families, moms and dads who work to and from. And I hope that the collaborative spirit that I hear continues, because I feel the best possibility is really with everyone at the table, with merchants sitting down and figuring out, because it's in our interests to find an answer. We need the restaurants to be here, we need the sellers to be here, but we also need our customers to have a place to park. And I'm so grateful, Mr. Wallander, that you're worried about the historic and rural character of the town that I've loved my whole life. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Good evening again. I am now kind of taking off my contract city staff hat and just putting on plain chamber hat here. So Mark Bodenhammer speaking on behalf of the Sonoma Valley Chamber of Commerce. I want to first echo John's comments and just thank this council and previous councils for how responsive and creative and dedicated everybody was. And also want to thank the community, the people of Sonoma Valley that really rallied to support all of these businesses through just chaos the last couple of years. When you walk around and you see the businesses that are out there today, it's largely the same businesses that were there 3 years ago, and that's a testament to your efforts and other councils and the community. That's not the case in a lot of other communities surrounding us and throughout the nation. So congratulations to everybody, and thank you. To Council Member Agramonte's comments about, some of the it not being what you expected. Just want to go back in time when this program was put together. It was just chaos, and we were balancing not only the severe economic crisis, but also the parklets were designed primarily with COVID safety in mind. So it was thinking about air circulation, and there were specific regulations from the county and the state health officers, so nobody was really paying attention to a lot of these things. So whether we're talking about water walls, sidewalls, roofs, any of those things, I think the number one thing that we can all agree in here is that what's out there right now is kind of not going to cut it. We got to make some changes. We need to make sure that everybody's needs are addressed. I love the concept of having the parklets potentially used in for a retail sidewalk sale or something like that. And if we can come up with some creative parklet solutions where it's a compromise decision where everybody wins, we're happy to help work on that. We don't have any position on this because the chamber membership is split. There are members who have been a member of the chamber for 100 years that are strongly opposed to the parklets, and others that want them. But whatever you guys want to do to move it forward so that it's workable for everybody in the community, we're happy to support it. And just want to chime in on behalf of our partners at the Vintners and Growers and Visitors Bureau. They'll be there too to help with outreach and data gathering. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for having me, Mayor Ding, the council. My name's Cody Binkley, Binkley. Been here from the bottom. I mean, if you guys want to come and see my first K-Wells, they're still sitting there in my basement. Spent $5,700 to make sure that I was the first person to try to make sure that my business could survive this whole entire thing. So I wanted to say thank you to all of y'all. Lisa, Kristen, every single person that's physically been a part of this whole entire process. We've always worked so hard to make it a possibility. We've all been learning from day one. So it's kind of cool to let us process this whole entire thing. But there is a lot of things, like Mr. Felder. Yes, those canopies, we had to make sure we had to go through each fire department, as well as the city, as well as the water, to make sure that those were a possibility, to make sure even our insurance, I'm talking 5 different times just to make sure that was a possibility. So we've been consistently trying as businesses to make sure this is real together. And it's really cool to see our community come together and try to work really hard to try to learn this process. And I just hope you guys can help us. Thank you.
Thank you again. Any more comments? Looks like none. Let me now close the public comments. I want to bring back to our council.
Mayor Ding?
Yes. Senator
First, I want to thank everybody who came tonight. It was inspiring to hear all the stories. I like the parklets. I've said that before. This is not new, but I've also said, and I asked earlier, if there's something that we could do for the merchants. My mother had a retail store growing up, so I have great sympathy for the difficulty of the parking situation. But we started today just talking about parking. I mean, parking is a problem, right? Parking's a problem at Traintown. Parking's a problem at the plaza. Parking's a problem. I have a side bet with my friend Ariel Kelly, who's on the city council in Healdsburg, as to which one of us can get all the cars off our plazas first. And I hope you'll all join me in that at some point. Because, you know, I really, I think the plaza is for everyone, and, you know, the businesses that are doing so well are bringing people into the retail. I still would like to see some compromise happen, because I love, I love Sign of the Bear, and I can't imagine walking home with my 10-pound Le Creuset cast iron pot. It's pretty heavy. So I do want to see something for the retail. I really want to thank the subcommittee for their, their suggestions. But, you know, I think a lot of things happen with COVID, and some of the things we just absolutely hate. And some of the things people are like, they're never going to drive to a meeting again in their life, because they're going to tell everyone to get that Zoom on it, on the screen. And then on the other hand, there's been bad things. So when something happens and it causes us to change, the end result is that we're going to create things that we don't like, and we can't wait to go back to how it was, and we're going to create things that we absolutely fall in love with, and we're never going to give up. And I think the parklets we fell in love with, and we're never going to give them up. We just have to now find a way to make it fair for all the businesses, and to have design standards that are appropriate, especially for our very special place. And I know we can do that, because we have the goodwill to do that. The manager from EDK offered, I heard him offer us some money for this whole thing. So, you know, he said he didn't mind. I'm like, you know, who am I to say no, right? So, you know, perhaps there has to be some sort of application fee and so forth to, you know, to make it fair, and perhaps some of those funds could help with something else. But parking is always going to be a problem. We're never going to solve it. We don't want to solve it, because that just means we're going to pour more asphalt and have more fumes and more gas and whatever, and really, that's not the way the world is going. Let's go back to this whole idea of shuttling, because the shuttles will solve a lot of problems, and if people are not parking on the plaza, Councilmember Agramonte, then they won't be hit by a car, because they're going to all be on the trolley or whatever that's going to take them there, and everybody's going to walk as best as they are able. If for people who need accommodations, we will certainly, you know, you have to make accommodations for people for whom it's necessary for them, you know, to not, they can't walk and they need help, then we're going to make accommodations. But I'm for helping these businesses. I'm for recognizing that we have something that I don't want to see go away. And I think, although you didn't survey the public, I can tell from just walking around, the public likes it. I like it. I'm the public. I like to sit outside. It's beautiful. And if we can figure out this whole situation with parking, we shouldn't be talking about parking, we should be talking about transporting people. How do we transport people to the places that we want them to go in a way that doesn't hurt our environment, doesn't cause crashes, make sure people can get there, buy their goods and get them back. I know I go into the city a lot. I leave my car at the ferry terminal. I never bring it, what do I need it for? I go shopping. I know it's possible. So I want to thank everybody. I think the staff and the businesses, you did an amazing job to keep people employed and to keep our town vibrant. And I think it's our job to help you out and think of a good way to keep it going. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Council
Mayor, my
Member
last comment.
Merrick. Sure.
I've been clear. I've shared what I thought. I want this stuff to move forward. I really appreciate the thoughts of our subcommittee. I think they made sense. Thanks, Mr. Wallander. I think those things all make sense. I think something that Sandra added about shuttling, absolutely. I believe we have free buses now, which is wonderful. And maybe that could be something throughout the system. I think the transportation manager is very in favor of that. But I just need to have my city back. Thanks.
All right. Yeah. Go ahead. Councilman Felder.
I'm assuming through the city attorney that I have the ability to make a motion because it says there's possible action on this agenda item. It says,
Yeah, before you make the motion, you can take your time, prepare your motion. Let me say something.
well, I want to find out if I can do it.
Okay.
I can, thank you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, before the.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm going to take a leap forward without having any idea where the rest of the council sits on this item, but in the interest of trying to make it very transparent and to have the will of the council be expressed as early as possible, I want to make a motion to reopen First Street East by November 1st when the current encroachment permit expires. That way there can be no question about, that's the end of my motion, but that way there can be no question about whether we're going to reopen or not, we're going to extend or not. I don't know if the rest of the council goes along with me, but I feel very strongly that First Street East should be open, and I want to make it clear at this point in time that it's going to be open on November 1st.
Well, that motion, and I will second it.
Can I, so would you be okay with allowing Pangloss to use the parklet through November 1st?
Yes.
But then it will take time to deconstruct.
I'll give them a week.
Well, what if it took, okay, well, what if,
I mean,
let's say 2 weeks?
they're saying if they got the direction not that they couldn't stay open, they'll take it down in August.
I understand,
That's
but
that-
obviously,
I know.
September, October.
But
Busy
there's an
for-
encroachment permit, it expires, the police and fire want the street open, and I want to take a position on this council to see if everybody would, or a majority of you will support me to reopen that street. If you want to
Well,
negotiate the terms of.
I think
tearing
police
it
and
down.
fire's concerns are valid, and I'm more than happy to talk about that. I'm just talking about like the timing, I guess.
Well, what do you think an appropriate thing is? That they want to extend to January 1st, I'm saying, those are the rainy months, come on.
So, Mr. Attorney, I'll call for the question.
Excuse me, there's discussion, there's a motion and
I
a
can
second.
call for the question anytime I want. So explain what it means.
Actually, today I haven't expressed myself.
Wait, we can't, I
Yeah.
called for the
Okay.
question, so that means we need to take a vote to say
You
that
need a
we'll
second,
stop.
you need a second on your motion.
I need a second on my motion.
I'll second it.
Is this a call to question?
Yeah, whether or not you're going to vote on this question without further debate.
Okay.
It's a motion to close debate,
No,
basically.
I get it.
So
We need a roll call, please.
Councilmember Agramonte,
Aye. Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett,
No.
Councilmember Felder,
Aye.
Councilmember Lowe,
No.
Mayor Ding.
No.
Thank you. The motion fails 2-3.
So that had nothing to do with the issue. That has to do with, let's just stop talking about it and decide what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Right, but we still have to
Yes,
talk about
yeah,
it.
we still need to talk. Yeah, I haven't talked yet, you know. You know
like
why, you
dogs.
know, suddenly Jack, and you just say no, why, you know. I have a lot of, want to say, you know. Otherwise, you said, wow, Jack just followed the majority. No, it's not. If like this one, I will go home. Yeah. First of all, I would like to, today is very, very emotional. I listened to everybody, especially Joe, from the EDK. Yeah, every time when I went there, he treated us, he treated me, mine, the guests, just like the king. I got the royal treatment. I really got moved. I'm thinking they are really, really heroes. We got a pandemic, everybody, sitting home, unemployment, benefits, but they keep working. They trying something different. They trying something new. And they are innovative. They have the entrepreneurship, which is our town's spirit. At the beginning of our town, a lot of the business people took a lot of risks. For example, the first mayor, that is Jacob Lees. He found all the business opportunities. Even that time, he did some illegal business, trading, opium to the east, to the China, to earn the money, bring the money back to here, support the brother-in-law, General Vallejo. Not easy to build up this town. So today I'm so, got moved. I already saw that. This is our spirit come back. As to the local government, we need support. This is a positive. And then as to the issues, safety issues, it's a fairness for another and the parties, retail stores. We can discuss. We can find a way. Local government to just work together, find a way, get everybody got a benefit for the decision. That is why we sitting here, spend the time. Otherwise, we are going home. We join the NBA, basketball, right? And then everybody will complain. Even when we build up Broadway, local people complain. Why our small town needed so wide the road? Doesn't look good. Anyway, 200 years later, we got the benefits. Even the Eiffel Tower in Paris, people complain. So ugly, That is we don't need it. That is the reason. So right now, it's a good chance for us to find a good way, because challenging, difficult is for us, yes. But we want to take this good opportunity, thinking if any way we can work better, we can work together. Collaboration, everybody mentioned, that is the key. Maybe we were failed, but we will never regret because we tried it already. So now I think right now it's the better for us to try all the kind of possibilities, good things. We have did a lot of scientific way. Subcommittee, Vice Mayor Barnett, Bob Felder, they are the quality people. I'm not, and also Commissioner and Ron Weldon. Yeah, so thank you so much. So that is I want to say. So we try. We have a lot of the difficulties. We believe we can come over this kind of things. Yeah. So that is I want to share with everyone. So that's the reason tell you why I say no. I want to gather more flexibility, more opportunities for our local business. They are our heroes. They deserve some awarding from this pandemic, and timing, and also full support from the community. Thank you. So any other that we already have the motion, we are already in the talk, anything else?
There's a pending motion.
Yeah, that point of
The
order.
motion's about-
Okay.
There's a motion on the floor from Mr. Felder and was properly seconded to.
Okay. Further discussion? Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I voted no on your motion, it was because I had a couple questions regarding the closure. So it's been mentioned that police and fire want the street open. But is there anyone here to speak to that, to tell us what exactly the issue is and if it could be remediated in some way by either, I heard one way, I heard narrowing it and, or any other, is it just open or that's it? And what are the actual implications of not opening it?
So I don't think we're prepared to talk on that this evening.
Okay.
Our goal for tonight was really to just start the conversation, bring the public in really early and get some general direction, and then go back and keep working with the ad hoc. But at a future meeting, we will definitely make sure to have those questions ready.
So because of that, and thank you so much, thank you through the mayor, your answer. I'm going to respectfully vote no on your motion because I would like to wait till that information comes forward before we make a decision that would so irrevocably change the lives of these people here.
And I'm actually just curious, which direction did you want it to go?
I'm guessing
Like
north.
south or north? Yeah.
We really didn't think about that. So I would imagine probably turning off the plaza going south, right? So
Yeah.
you could that would make the most sense considering Patton Street is relatively residential. There are a few businesses down there, but that would make the most sense with the flow around the plaza itself.
Yes, sure.
I would question whether it's necessary to make it one-way because there is parking on both sides of First Street East, and other parklets have expanded into the parking spaces. So it is conceivable that you could have a two-way street and still have ability to have parklets along First Street East.
And that's what I want to see, and that's why I'd like to see some options.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what
So-
this highlights one of the difficulties with this program is in that location, the way that the road curves, it's very challenging, and we will need some experts to look at that. The way that it was designed, it kind of cantilevers over the sidewalk and out, and so the ADA access is actually routed through the parklet. So staff's preliminary determination with the building official is that parklets in that stretch would not work.
You know what I would suggest at this point, because I think there are still a lot of unanswered questions. And we've sort of discussed this at the ad hoc, but I'm curious to see what the rest of the council would think, is if there is funding to allocate, I think a good idea might be to allocate some funding for some sort of professional consultant. Because I know staff, you're sort of at capacity, and you're doing this around what you typically do. I don't think any of us are parklet experts. I don't know if parklet experts exist, but the general concept of how can we create a European-style outdoor dining element while taking into account the fact that this is a national historic plaza or landmark that has significant aesthetic considerations, and also take into account our retailers and take into account parking, and all of the different factors that we've been sort of running through the ad hoc committee. And obviously timing would be important, so I don't even know if that is possible to get, but I think it would be helpful for us to have some sort of outside the box, outside the city, sort of professional analysis of this situation. What are your thoughts about that?
Are you talking about opening First Street East? That's the motion on the floor.
No, that is my understanding. council, that means, in the long term, how we can design.
Well, that's the long term.
That is the long term, yes.
That's the long
That's
term.
the long
Long
term.
term.
Mhm.
And when I'm talking long term, I'm talking, in a few years.
And I agree with that.
Yeah, and so, but this is the question before us, like, how do we get there? Like, in the long term, I do not, and what I'm concerned about doing design guidelines for parklets, I mean, I do want to keep outdoor dining, et cetera, but I'm worried that we're gonna, to properly complement a national landmark, the aesthetics of these parklets are going to have to be so high that businesses will be required to invest so much money into them that why would they just want to deconstruct them in a few years? Where in my mind, in my vision, in a few years, where we have a downtown parking district, we have a parking management plan, we are literally extending sidewalks, not just on a temporary Cafe La Haye basis, but large sort of European style sidewalks with tables on the sidewalks and umbrellas, and maybe the plaza goes around one way, and maybe this is a whole long term thing, hopefully not too long. But so the whole question before us is, what do we do in the middle? And I personally like outdoor dining and want to support all of our businesses, but there's something about me that is very concerned about these little buildings all around the plaza. And if there is a way someone smarter than all of us can come in and tell us how to do this in the interim, I would be really open to listening to that advice. And so I'm just curious to see what the rest of the council thinks about that. In general, we still obviously have the First Street East.
That motion's on the floor to be discussed.
I second it.
I would like to hear from the rest of the council, and I'm quite frankly, I'm willing to withdraw the motion if I don't have support, because it was done in an effort to be transparent about our feelings. And if we don't have the judgment to move ahead with that at this point, I'll withdraw the motion. But I think I was trying to force the issue to see if we're really at the point that we want that street open.
And I'll remove my second if that's what you're suggesting.
Well, I'd like to hear from the mayor and the vice mayor.
However, I'd like to actually add what was discussed earlier. And what was that? We said we would go to the fire and police to actually have them share their, I think you suggested it, share their reasoning for that issue.
Now, at the ad hoc, we were under the impression that police and fire, that was like a strong, I don't even know if it was like encouragement. They said it had to be opened. And so I would like to, I guess, have that information.
I think the way I heard it was it had to be open. They were willing to wait until the encroachment permit expired, but that was when it had to be opened. That's what I heard.
I would like to ask our staff consult with the chief police and the fire and to see what's going on. Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you, support.
If you want that before we can vote on the motion, I'll withdraw the motion.
I guess my point is, like, why would we, if, again, I don't know if this is true, I thought it was true, but if the police and fire said it has to be opened, why is it a motion? Meaning, is it even up to us? Do we have decision-making authority? Don't police and fire trump do we have discretion?
Apparently we did. We had the discretion to close it.
I think we have discretion if we find out what the issue is, if there are ways to modify.
Yeah.
And that's the piece I don't know. I mean, if it has to be open because we need access and egress, at that corner, okay, so we start from that. Does that mean necessarily that everything has to go away, or we need this much space, or, so I just want to ask them the questions about that. Because if they say, listen, it has to happen, it's dangerous, I'm the first one to say, if they say that, I'm with them. I don't want to do anything that's unsafe for the people in this community. But if they're saying, no, we could work with a modified lane or something like that, I just want to know that,
I will withdraw the motion. I will withdraw the motion if we can have this put on the agenda for next the next meeting to have the opinion from police and fire.
And I, as well, will withdraw for the second time, the second. Second, I will do that. And maybe, you never know, maybe the President of the United States has to land there. I don't know. So we'll see what happens.
Roll call, please.
No.
Yes,
No, roll
withdraw.
call. Oh, draw, okay. All right, so agenda number 6.2.
Are we done?
Yeah, no, we
Wait.
further discussion, or right now we are under the agenda number 6.2.
Yeah.
So
That's what
there,
you- that's what
no
you're
any
considering.
direct, we already have the direction, consult with the, the law enforcement, police, and also fire chief.
Well, that was just for First Street.
First Street.
Yeah,
For First Street.
we don't necessarily have the opinion of the rest of the council on whether the ad hoc is proceeding in the right direction.
Okay.
I think they're proceeding, you guys are proceeding in the right direction, and I think getting some outside counsel on it, regarding parklets, I'm sure there's experts on just about everything. So, they regularly call me and tell me, I'm an expert on this, so I know they exist. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, getting some advice, but I think you guys are, it's a really tough job, and I commend you for tackling it, and I thank Mr. Wellender as well, and I think we'd have to continue it and work with the chamber, work with the businesses to come up with something that we can all agree on.
Yeah. Is there any support for further investigating the concept of sidewalk extensions, similar to La Haye,
Yeah, I like the sidewalk extensions.
where it's sort of like
yeah.
a hybrid, where the tables are on the sidewalk, umbrellas?
And I think that'll work for some of the places that aren't really using, I don't want to name names, but there's one that I walk by regularly, I don't really see anybody using it, during the day, and maybe just putting a sidewalk extension there and putting those parking spaces back would be a good solution.
Through the mayor. Just another thing that came up when we were talking about removing the K-rails. The K-rails are there because they were in the street below the curb. And so it was a liability and a safety issue if people were sitting in the street. If the K-rails are removed, then you either have to extend the sidewalk to effectively move the curb out further, like in front of La Haye, or you'd have to stay on the sidewalk. So if the K-rolls are taken away from any of the existing parklets and they are currently using the street surface itself, they would not be able to keep the parklet there unless they built an extension out into the parking area to create another curb.
Yeah, and if I could-
Staff, you understand?
Yeah, and if I could just take a moment to give a little bit more direction. So as everybody has commented before, this has really been an evolving concept. And so in the beginning, it was the utmost concern for health and safety. And so it was the determination to go as conservative as possible. Over the past 2 years, lots of other jurisdictions have been looking at this and evolving. A number of them had K-rails in the beginning, and they have now taken them out. The intent of a K-rail is not to prevent a collision. It's basically like a little bumper to kind of help keep the car in the right place. So we're working with our Public Works Director and have a site visit this week to go around and look at potential options. The interim Public Works Director felt that bollards would be a much more safe and visually appealing approach. So there's a lot of different options. One of the issues with the K-rails is they're really wide. And so for example, across from Girl and the Fig, there's a red curb there. And so we've lost 4 parking spaces on that other side. So there's a total of 8 parking spaces that we've lost. And a good portion of that is because of that K-rail. So I think there's just lots of ways that we could tweak the program. And I think right now what we're really hoping to get is just direction as to whether the council wants staff to develop these guidelines or not. It's a large amount of work for us to go into that level of detail. I'm not an architect. We do have one on our planning commission, but it really is a very complicated issue. We had a site visit with PG&E. There are some issues with where the parklets are and where tie downs are for power pools and where the gas lines are. There's future capital improvement projects. And so where the sidewalk extension issue is, it's really outside of our area of expertise. So we would need a consultant to come in. We'd have to dedicate funding. It would be more of a capital improvement project. And so we wouldn't be able to implement that by October 31st.
Yes, it's clear if any more direction. If not, I want to close this agenda 6.2. Go ahead.
Do you have enough direction?
Well, I think we're still waiting for that. Is there direction to staff to continue developing design guidelines, or is the consensus that we are moving one way or another in with the program? If we wanted to look for more capital improvements, then we would need budgeting and financing and things like that.
If you want an answer, I'm interested in First Street East, and then whomever wants to speak up about the others.
What are your thoughts about just parklets in general? Like I'm sort of feeling
I'm
that.
not going to say the real word. I think other people have heard what I've said. I think the places that have back areas don't need a parklet. I believe that in my heart. I love your plan. I will be dead by the time it's done because I think it's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
It really is, and it will add to the culture of the city of Sonoma. I agree with what you've said, Sandra, with respect to parking. Maybe we need to look at something else. Maybe we could have like little mouse rides or something like they do in Disneyland. I don't know what. But we need to correct whatever this is. I think it was an emergency measure. I think I personally, I think I was mayor, I don't remember, but we did this because we knew our businesses need help. Whether that's the same, no, if you have an outdoor space, I'm not interested in having a parklet. I forget. And I think it has to be safe. The bollards, the K-rails are ugly. But I don't even know about physics. We have an engineer here. If you hit one of those, it's not going to take all the barrels with them. It'll stop. If you hit one, it'll wipe somebody out. So that's the stuff I'm concerned about, is safety. So I guess First Street East is most important to me, and then we may not be able to, we'll be able to move in whatever direction we see fit. And,
Safety always most important. Yeah, so that's the reason. Talk with the fire department and the police department.
And possibly be here, come to speak to us.
And you want to keep the parklets?
Oh yeah, so we try. We cannot stop it right now.
I said I was good until October.
Yeah.
Well, no,
After
we're
that-
talking about after October.
Yeah.
So you're done
I'm
in
done.
October. You're sort of design guidelines, or
We would need design direction, design standards to be consistent with a new parklet design, not just a window dressing on the existing stuff.
so to the point where many of these parklets would basically have to start over.
Yes.
Many would have to start over, and maybe many of them would just need, a little bit of a fix, right? But, you heard what I said. I'm in favor of parklets. I am in favor of a design. I'm in favor of safety. I'm in favor of giving options for our businesses. And the big picture for me is figuring out how to transport people to the plaza and not worry about this parking situation, because it's, I think it's, we have other policies that are encouraging us to care about the environment and so forth. I think that's part of it, and once people get to the plaza and they walk around as best they can, they don't need it.
Yes, yeah, overall, I understand, today we will not make any motion, directions, information input, and also because we don't have the motion, so if the mark or the wrong, if you have any more inputs, that is fine, because you are staff, you just like Christina.
The only
Yeah.
thing I want to add
You're
real quick.
just
Yes,
like Christina,
just-
Mark.
Yeah. Because you're on the partially,
I'm not sure how to interpret that.
you're on the staff because you're working with that one.
Very briefly, two things. I agree wholeheartedly with your point about safety. It needs to be the number one thing.
Yes.
I think that there are two questions. One is water walls. There could be other solutions. There could be heavy wine barrels that are filled with water that might achieve the same thing, but in terms of safety, but address the aesthetic issues, and maybe that's a compromise. The main thing I wanted to share is that out there in the entryway there, Laura from Sign of the Bear and a couple of the restaurants are talking about organizing so that all of these people can get together. And I think that, one of the benefits of this small town is, we can all just kind of walk to a spot on the plaza and hash a lot of this stuff out. So they're actually organizing a meeting to get the retailers and the restaurateurs together, and other plaza businesses, obviously. But you might get a sort of consensus opinion from all of those. Obviously, still need to address the public, still need to address the safety issues and some of those other things that are not just, up to the businesses by themselves. But you may get some input from them soon in terms of what everybody might be able to agree on.
All right, timing is over. Yeah, that's great.
That sounds
Yes,
good.
yours.
And
Yeah,
then,
okay. Yeah.
can we,
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I want to say is, now that I'm staff, my wife would like to know where I turn in my timesheet. I think this has been good, and even though I decided to come at the last minute, it's been helpful, at least as a invited member of the ad hoc, to really hear both more from the public as well as your individual concerns. And I recognize that time is of the essence, and I think it is also fair that we be as forthcoming and transparent and communicative with the businesses so they too can plan. I will probably regret what I'm going to suggest, and that is, I think it would behoove us to go back as part of the ad hoc and staff and see if we can distill down more definitive options where they respond to probably at least three or four different options, all of them having some pros and cons, and then bring them back to you for what I would call a more further ripe discussion where it may be a little bit easier for you to then make some decisions or make a motion and give ultimate direction. But it's quite clear in my mind that this is not easy. And I also think that I'm hearing from both ends of the room that you care about the plaza, we care about the retailers indeed care about Sonoma. So I don't think we're quite there yet as far as with the definitive recommendations as far as what the design guidelines could be. And so I would just simply suggest that you.
All right, detailed suggestion when we work in the afternoon meeting. All right, that's
I'm
fine.
reading.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
All right. Yeah. So the direction is clear. All right. So let me move on to next.
I know.
Yeah.
Just one more thing.
Okay.
So, can we give direction to either approve or give the go-ahead for if you do need to hire some professional help on this, that's okay?
I think I'll look to our city manager. I don't know about the funding what we have available.
There would be, if that's the direction you want to give, we can see what kind of professionals are out there.
I would appreciate, I don't know with the rest, but I think we really.
I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
find a professional consulting company in the
just-
long term.
Yeah, not too expensive, obviously, but I do think we need some sort of professional plan here. Not that we
Yeah.
can't do
Yeah.
it, but
I'm
it's
not
like.
an architect.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Yes. Sorry, keep it longer, but I think maybe not helpful. Let's move to.
I'm sorry, I just want to clear up. So on the 18th, we are going to come back with a report from police and fire on whether they want
Yes.
that street. So that is
Yeah.
one particular thing we're going to be
Yes,
on the 18th.
that is for
and
sure.
then we could do some research on I
Consulting
Googled-
professional.
There's many parklet firms out there. I'm sure there are a million of them right now because of so we can take a look at that and see if there's any, if there might be a recommendation to provide funding for
consulting service. Mhm.
okay.
All right. All right, so let's move to next agenda item. Council member report and comments.
The only thing I'd like to say is I dedicated the evening to Jim Lamb.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd like to, I did the committee, stepped in for Bob on the Citizens Advisory Committee, and they approved the plan for the Homeless Action Sonoma property on the highway. That was, that's what came forward, and so that was. Navigation center? Then, yes, I believe that's the proper term for it. I'm still in parklet brain fog here. So, and then I'd just like to say that this is Teacher Appreciation Week. As a former teacher, I'd just like to salute all the teachers out there and recognize that it has been a very, very difficult time for them, especially with, COVID and in and out and closing down and opening up and so forth. And I'd just like to give a shout out to all the teachers out there for hanging in there with the students. They perform miracles every single day.
Yes. Last Monday, I went to Sonoma County Water Advisory Committee, and also Michael Berger also went there. Yeah, that is in a routine meeting, and then we just got the most updated information. It is still in the drought. Yeah, we have to carry out water saving measurements for a long time. And also this month is AAPI Heritage Month. Yeah, last time I mentioned, and we will proclamate an North Bay AAPI coalition. They request for our support, and I'm happy, to do that because last time I mentioned already, and later on, I want to help, request help from city manager and city clerk. That is my report.
And last week I met with the board of directors of the Field of Dreams, and they shared with me their impressive and ambitious plans for the facility, and they would like to discuss extending their lease. And so for a future agenda item, I would like to request putting that on our agenda. Thank you.
Do you need somebody else from the council? I will support that as well.
All right. Thank you. Let's move to agenda number 8, city manager comments and announcements.
Okay, I have several announcements. The first one is this is Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week, as well as Teachers Week. And I just wanted to recognize Rebecca for all the work she does. Oh gosh.
I think Hawaii's in your future right now.
Aw, he's growing Hawaii. That's beautiful. There you go. So just want to recognize all the work you do for the council and staff, so. And then I wanted to call to the attention of council, and we'd like to do a letter of support if you're in support of this. There's a new collective of Sonoma Valley nonprofits that banded together to fill a void in the local mental health services. The Sonoma Valley Mental Health Collective, it's an aggregate of 17 community-based agencies that all went together to apply for a grant from the county, from ARPA funds. And the people, all the organizations that signed on are the Boys and Girls Club, La Luz Center, Sonoma Valley Hospital, Sonoma Overnight Support, the Sonoma Community Health Center, Sonoma Valley Unified School District, Sonoma Community Center, and there was obviously more. So, and they applied for the grant. It's a $5.4 million grant. And if you want, we can just do a letter of support from the city council.
Yes, yeah, wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, we will support.
And a copy to Susan Gorin, I
Yes.
think. Okay, thank you.
That's great.
Okay. All right. And then one more thing, I just wanted to let you know that, give you a little bit of information. On September 30th, 21, Governor Newsom signed into law Assembly Bill 481, and it was relating to the approval, funding, acquisition, and use of military equipment by law enforcement agencies. And so the Government Code Section 7071 requires the law enforcement agencies military equipment policy. So the County of Sonoma, so the City of Sonoma does not possess or use any equipment specifically designed for military use, nor has the city acquired any equipment through a military surplus program. And we don't have a jail, so we don't have any of that equipment. The City of Sonoma contracts with the County of Sonoma for law enforcement services and equipment. They are going to the county on May 10th, and they're bringing a policy forward based on this. And if we want to, we can just sign on to their adopted policy, or we can create our own. But I just wanted to bring that forward to let you know on May 10th, there's going to be a city or a county board of supervisors meeting where they're going to discuss all of this. If anybody's interested, they can listen in. If you want to write your own policy, which would be quite a bit of information.
I want to buy 10 tanks, get rid of them.
I mean, I read through all the lists of equipment, and I had to call and ask about every single one because I
You want to drive
know
those
what it
tanks right
was.
down First Street East.
That is next Tuesday, Board of the Supervisors.
Supervisors.
That is in person or on a Zoom meeting? They are.
I think it's both.
I think it's both, yeah, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
both. Yeah, I think we
All
could
right.
just adopt their policy.
Yeah.
or
It's a.
howitzers and whatever.
Try to be simple.
I want one if there's anything left over.
Yeah.
Left over.
Mr. Mayor, I meant to add
Yes.
one more thing. I apologize from the committee report that Mayor Ding and I attended the League of Cities North
yes.
Bay
Mhm.
thing, and it was a lovely afternoon. But the interesting thing, and this is what I wanted to put on the agenda, that we talked to a city council member from I believe it was Calistoga. And they have an ordinance that they modeled after Sunnyvale that has to do with buildings that are not maintained and not used for, that they
Development.
put them on a clock and that they fine them or so forth. Anyway, so it's an ordinance from Sunnyvale, and it sounded interesting, and it might suit our needs on a couple of these important properties around in the town.
Yeah.
So I'd like to ask the staff to explore that.
Yeah, do some research. And also, I know that recently, in the city of the Vallejo also, they have the similar, policy. They give them the timeline, 1 year or 1.5, and specifically, downtown area.
In response to that, Councilmember Lowe, we had actually had a request earlier to look at a possible vacancy tax, ballot measure for
Yeah.
a vacancy tax that would seem
That's
to
great.
play right into this also. And that is something that staff's been reviewing with the attorney's office, and you'll be seeing a update on that very soon.
That's great.
Tax, fine, timeline, vowels hanging, rainbow vowels, good, I don't care, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let them speed up, simple. Yeah,
Mayor
we
Ch-
don't want to fine you, we want to collect the tax money. We want to push you, speed up and move forward.
Mayor Ding, we did have one more announcement. Just as
Yeah.
a reminder that we'll be honoring Steve Page, the 2022
Oh, okay.
City Alcalde
2020.
on May 19th at 6:30 at Vintage House.
Thank you.
It is, obviously, please let me know if you're planning on attending. It is an RSVP event, so I would appreciate if you would let me know if you haven't RSVP'd yourself already. Thank you.
Thank you. We will be there. And also, here I have another event on the senior center, 800 Oregon. There was one lady 104 years old, their birthday. I will be there, and anybody will join. Yeah, that is fun. Yeah. And also, I'm wondering, do we have any, little president, or it's a meaningful little stuff?
Usually the President of the United States, actually, they write a letter for somebody over 100.
Okay.
We're kind of late.
Yes,
And Congress
that's good,
also,
yeah.
but
Or later on, I want to forward that the email, the name, and then the contact person. I will send it to you, see what is proper way for the city.
Yeah, I mean, we can do a certificate or a plaque or something.
Okay,
If that's
that's
what you
great.
choose to do.
Yeah, that is what I looking for. All right, all done. And then the agenda number 9, city attorney comments.
I just have a short comment to make. It's about the Supreme Court of the United States. They've been in the headlines recently. On Monday, however, they actually handed down a decision. It wasn't a leaked preliminary opinion. It dealt with the city's use of their flagpoles and what you can run up and down the flagpoles. In Boston, they had 3 flagpoles in front of the city hall. The state flag, the United States flag, and then the third one is used pretty much indiscriminately. Anybody who can call the Boston city manager or city clerk and say, well, I'd like to run my flag up for a week. Can I do that? And they've been doing that for years. About a year or so ago, a Christian organization asked if it could put its flag on the Boston flagpole, and Boston said no, because you're religious, and we cannot, under the Constitution, encourage, support the establishment or continuation of a religious organization, and that group sued Boston. And the Supreme Court ruled, as you might expect these days, that, oh, no, the city of Boston had to allow the Christian flag to be raised on that flagpole. Now, when you read the opinion, it's not quite as surprising as it sounds. There's something called government speech, which is sort of an interesting concept, and it's different than free speech, because free speech under the First Amendment is exercised by the people, and it cannot be controlled by the government through regulation based on content, on what is being said. That's completely prohibited. And it's spoken oftentimes in opposition to government, and that's what the First Amendment protects. The government has its own rights itself to speak. So you can put somebody's name on your building, and the people can't control that. You can put names on street signs. You can control what goes on the plaza and the horseshoe. Is it Sonoma wood? Are they hearts during COVID? We've had a number of things that we put on our public property, our art. We have the right to control what goes on our own public property, and it's all speech. Flagpoles also are controlled by cities, or they should be. Boston didn't control its flagpole. It allowed anybody to put their flag on that pole, had no policy. And that's what the Supreme Court hung its hat on. It said, you have no policy. You can have a policy. You can adopt a policy. You can actually control what type of flag would be allowed under various principles and criteria, but you didn't do that. So the religious flag got to fly. It's obviously a lesson, and our firm is now going to be developing some flag policies too.
Yes, that is what we are working on.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
We need one of those.
So we're going to work on that. This is a great wake-up call, obviously, and you'll be getting a flag policy in the next month or two to take a look at.
Wonderful. Wow.
To control what goes up on the flagpoles.
So if Boston already had a policy?
It did not.
But if it did,
So that's
and
the
they said
reason.
it didn't allow religious
Didn't allow
flags?
Christian.
Had no
that would've-
policy.
Yeah.
Right.
But it had
But the court is basically encouraging flag policies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds like the wonderful, encouraging. That's beautiful. And then, no any comments? Jack, that is all?
Yes, that's my comment.
All right. Let's move to agenda number 10. Adjournment. Oh, that's great.
So Jeff, until they have a policy, if I say that I want a flag up there, they have to allow.